And now for something completely different. Hey everyone, Beardo here. I wanted to get a little bit of FaceTime in today, and I thought this might be kind of a fun way to do it because I'm honestly really surprised at the really great feedback that I've gotten from doing these videos on Batman. And rest assured today, there will be the usual Batman haul, don't doubt it for a second. But before I start on that, I just wanted to take a second to say thank you, because I'm mostly, when I started doing these videos, I mostly was just doing it for myself, because when I complete a run of comics, in this particular case, the modern age Batman run, what I do is everything gets rebagged and boarded, because I'm really lazy with my bags and boards. When I first get stuff, they just kind of go in whatever bags and boards I have. And then I catalog it. And the way I catalog is I put a little tab on the top with the title and the number, and then in the back, I don't know how well this is going to come through here, but I do some sort of vital statistics, and just sort of, whatever you need to know about the particular comic book that I'm cataloging. Once it's cataloged, it goes in a box, and it goes in my closet where it's dark, it's cool, and it's dry. Basically, the best place I have in my apartment to store my comics. And then they don't really leave there. After that, I might go in for them, but for the most part, I try to just kind of leave them be. So, before I do that, now that I've got this channel, now that I've got this channel going, I thought that this would be kind of a fun way for me to just spend a little extra time with my books. And that was really about as much as I thought about the whole project. I thought, people will watch the first video because, I have enough subscribers and they watch my videos pretty regularly. By the time you get to the second video, probably half the people will be watching. The third video, half that. And then by the fourth video, maybe a handful of people are going to kind of watch and comment regularly. But I was so wrong about that. Honestly, I never expected the response that I've gotten. I've gotten so many compliments from you guys, and on top of that, I just broke 200 subscribers, which is also kind of fun. So it's just been kind of a fun weekend for me, and I'm really grateful to be a part of this YouTube community, and I really like that you guys are enjoying this. And so I wanted to thank everyone. In addition to that, against my better judgment, I want to do a couple of specific shout-outs. Honestly, this thank you is very much for everyone, so if I don't call your name off, don't think that I don't appreciate you, because I couldn't list everyone that I could possibly think of, but a couple key people. First of all, there are a few people out there who have been watching my videos pretty much every day, pretty much religiously, and always are commenting, or at least almost always. And those people are Mr. I Talk Apple, James Crowder 77, DaCosta DC, I think that's your name. Sorry, I didn't write this down, so I'm not 100% sure. And there's one other I wanted to mention, Andrew Isola. I think that's how you say your name. You guys are the people that I always have, inboxes from. I'll open up my phone and see I have 4 emails, and it's from you 4 because you've just watched and commented on my video. And how you guys have time to watch these every day is beyond me, but I love that you do it, and I love that you comment. So thank you guys, especially. A very, very extra special thank you has to go to Agent 42Q, who's someone he doesn't watch every day because he usually watches during the week, but he has caught up on all of them, I believe, and he always leaves insightful comments or jokey comments. Agent 42Q and I kind of talk outside of the direct YouTube community, and he's had a lot of fantastic advice, and he sort of keeps me respectable, I guess, because I'm just the bat nerd up here, and so I could easily just kind of geek out and go way too far with it. But the fact that he's invested as someone who isn't a Batman fan and still finds it interesting, helps me keep track of the fact that I'm on the right track. So Matt, thank you also very much. I'm now over halfway. This is video 17 or so, maybe 18. Not 100% sure which day I'm on. But yeah, we're cruising along. We're going into the home stretch here very soon, and I just couldn't help but just take a moment to say thank you guys. So thank you so much. And now that I've blathered on about that, why don't we talk about what you are here to talk about, and that is, of course, today's Batman Modern Age history. So let's get right to it. So, yesterday we kind of left things with Brubaker's first major run, and it's actually the majority of his entire run. We looked at sort of the rise of Zeiss, him chasing Zeiss around, and Zeiss kind of eventually being taken out. You had sort of the rise of the Penguin again into sort of common DC continuity, and now we're going to go into basically his last year. It's actually a little bit less than a year's worth of comic books, and in that year a lot happens because we have Bruce Wayne framed for murder, and that is what you see here in issue 599. This is part of a very, very big storyline called Bruce Wayne Murderer, ran across most of the titles, and basically what happens is Vesper Fairchild, who we talked about during No Man's Land and some of the stuff leading up to that, is murdered in Wayne Manor. The only alibi that Bruce Wayne has is Batman. And so he's caught in this sort of impossible position, and here you can see he's been incarcerated because he's obviously a flight risk, and he's in this position where he really needs to prove himself innocent, but has to do so in a way without letting loose that he's Batman. Now, the flip side of that makes things even more complicated really comes to fruition at the beginning of the next arc, the follow-up arc, which is Bruce Wayne Fugitive. And this one actually ran for, I think, a little bit longer than, yeah, definitely quite a bit longer, actually, than Bruce Wayne Murderer. And it actually appeared in a lot more Batman titles, because Bruce Wayne Murderer probably ran for a couple of months, but is only in 599. Bruce Wayne Fugitive is actually going to show up for the next few issues of Batman. And what happens here is basically Bruce Wayne decides that, obviously Batman is the real persona. Bruce Wayne is just sort of this facade that he uses to, leverage this, his real identity, which is Batman. And he sort of decides that since it's been sullied to the point where he feels like it's irreparable, he's just going to be Batman 24/7 full time. And obviously the mental issues going on in his head and the problems with that, everyone in the Bat family sees. This is a very Bat family-centric storyline, and right here at the beginning of Fugitive, you have him in just this big no holds barred fight with Nightwing over this whole issue. And, everyone's asking him, like, are you innocent? And he won't even tell them. He's just sort of so done with sort of the disrespect he's gotten from everybody that, thinks of him as just this crazy billionaire playboy that, why wouldn't he kill Vesper Fairchild or something like that, and, being run through the tabloids and all that kind of stuff, and he just kind of says enough and turns his back on virtually everyone. Now, this is a story that I really enjoyed the concept of the story. However, there were some big editorial problems, especially with Bruce Wayne Fugitive, because every part is numbered. You can see Bruce Wayne Fugitive's part 1 is in issue 600. In 601 we get part 3, and then it continues on outside of the Bat books, or outside of the primary Bat book. But the story that you read in here actually continues in 602. This is actually a two-part story with Nicodemus, this sort of pyromancer type character. And, he's set up in 601, paid off in 602. This is considered Bruce Wayne Fugitive, this is not. And so there's this really kind of weird confusion of like which issues you need to read for Fugitive and which ones you don't. The only ones that are official continuity have a little puzzle piece on here that are going to ultimately be the cover to issue 605, which is the big reveal of who the real killer of Vesper Fairchild is. But we'll kind of get to that when we get to it. They had some similar problems here with, I remember Detective Comics was another one where like the middle issue of an arc was considered Bruce Wayne Fugitive, but the first and the third issues in that arc were not. So it's just, like I said, really confusing, really off the wall in terms of the way they structured this actual event. So if you're reading it at the time, if you were me, you got really confused. However, there were some really good kind of one-off stories during this arc, and one of those is in issue 603. And this is kind of an interesting tale because it's really centered around the police officer who's responsible for tracking down the person that killed Bruce Wayne's parents. And, you can tell he's sort of, suffered through a lot because he's suffered for this boy, and he knows what this kid has, gone through and the trauma he's dealt with. And it really centers around his character, and even as an old man, he's sort of struggles with this whole, the night that Thomas and Martha Wayne died. So it makes for kind of an interesting story. In 604, you see Batman really heavily focused in Crime Alley. And, since he's Batman all the time, like, it kind of becomes a little Daredevil-y in the sense of, like, the Brian Michael Bendis, Alex Maleev Daredevil, where he's just protecting Hell's Kitchen, and he's not, just stay off my turf, like that kind of a thing. You get a little bit of an element of that in Bruce Wayne Fugitive. Of course, this is a not Bruce Wayne Fugitive storyline, but, and basically you have him and Catwoman fighting in Crime Alley, and they're kind of reasoning things out together. And then finally, the big conclusion is in Part 18, which is in 605. And you can see here, all the puzzle pieces come together, and the villain is revealed to be none other than David Kane. Now, of course, that's very significant during this time period because Cassandra Cain is Batgirl, and David Kane is, of course, Cassandra Cain's father. Now, at the very end of Ed Brubaker's run, we basically just get kind of Fugitive and Murderer and Fugitive aftermath. And what happens basically is Deadshot comes to town and he's out to murder David Kane. And this is going to happen while they're transporting their prisoner. And you see that basically summed right up here on the cover of 606. One interesting note about this little two-parter is this is co-written by Jeff Johns, fairly early DC Jeff Johns. This is before he's on Green Lantern. I'm pretty sure he was on Flash at this point, making a name for himself. And here he pops up as just a little short co-writer here in Batman. And then that story basically wrapped up here with 607. And as you can see from the cover, things don't quite go the way you might expect. So anyway, that wraps up the complete Brubaker run on Batman. After this, he had a lot more to do with the character. Obviously, he still had to do Gotham Central, which is an excellent series. If you haven't read that, I definitely recommend checking it out. And after Brubaker's done here on Batman, things are really gonna start to change at the offices of DC. And we're going to talk, actually, next time, not as much about Batman as much as about the greater continuity of what's going on in comics at the time when this next Batman arc hits with 608. But that is a video for tomorrow. So thanks for watching. This video is running a little bit long since I had sort of my little speech at the beginning. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you. It's so great, hitting 200 subscribers and seeing that you guys are on watching these videos and enjoying them. So thanks a lot. Love your comments. Talk to you soon.